Hey guys, I'm Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and over the past couple of weekends, my husband and I have started to find estate sales, and I found goodies that I want to share with you. So, the first estate sale, the ad said that there were lots and lots of free things and listed a whole bunch of categories. And there was household stuff and sewing and things that caught my keywords that made me go, okay, we're going to that one. Plus the fact that we have not been to an estate sale since February, maybe. So we got to this sale. The guy who was running it, it was in a pole barn, and the guy running it was just fun. His mother had passed away a couple of months earlier, and he had all of her stuff and stuff from his own household, and his wife and he were moving into their RV, so after cleaning the mom's stuff out from assisted living, they were just trying to get the stuff gone. And most of it was free. He had pulled and priced the stuff that he wanted money for and requested that we ask before we took stuff just to make sure he hadn't missed something. And it was fun. We got 2 sleeping bags, the old canvas and flannel, like old mid-century kind. We have a set already that we got from another estate sale years ago, and I love this so much more than I love my new REI expensive sleeping bag. And I would say don't tell my husband that, because my fancy one was a Christmas gift, but he knows which one I sleep in. The kids like my good one. And I like that we got a couple more. We have an old farmhouse, and those will be awesome during power outages. I was digging around, and one of the first things I found was a 1975 tea towel with flowers on it. Those are not flowers, those are birds and flowers. It's early in the morning. And I mean, it was folded up. All I saw was the fabric and that it had dates, and I was good, and it was in my box. This guy, he's like, I'll get you a box. No, you need a bigger box. And then I found one with birds, and I love the print of this one. I don't love that it's 1980, because in my head that is just too new to be vintage. And I know that I can use the birds and use the calendar and cut off the year and forget that it is newer than I would like, but I don't know if my head works that way. I am ridiculous, and I realize that I am ridiculous. And then I found the box with the sewing stuff, and I'm gonna cut away to some things that won't be good for holding up to show you. They had one of those like garage units with the sliding plastic doors that had drawers that had buttons in it, and these are the ones where you cover them with your own fabric to match what you're making. And there were just a ton of them in different sizes. My daughter does cosplay and occasionally sews clothing, and I have a couple of ideas of things I might do with these myself. I'm not going to sew clothing, but buttons to match a project bag maybe as an accent. I honestly grabbed this for the wooden box because it is old and it is cute and up at Acorns and Threads. I have seen cross stitch finished in little boxes like this. I don't think that these bobbins, I'm like 99.9% positive these bobbins do not fit any of my sewing machines. I'm going to take them over to my mother's house and see if she recognizes them, and they'll go in any of her old machines. Otherwise, I have friends who collect vintage machines. Somebody has to know what these go to. And when I figure it out, I will pass them along. Or I might, they're not cute. They don't look for bobbins, so I don't think they're good for a crafty project. And here's a thimble, Superior Fabrics. It's an advertising piece. I've never seen one like this before. That is cute. I didn't realize till I was in the midst of filming this, there was an envelope. And I'm looking for a date and not seeing one. Seems like there should be a year on that. 1976, 19-something-6. I am going to assume by the handwriting that this is really old, and I'm kind of curious what is in here. Little decorative frogs. Well, that was kind of sadly underwhelming, but they've been kept nice, and Hopefully my daughter or one of her buddies will have a purpose for them, because I don't think I do. Again, these are the little sewing bric-a-brac that takes up no room. I have no problem tucking this envelope in one of my sewing boxes and letting it sit until we need it. And I have a needle case with the Tower Bridge in London. Again, these weren't, the buttons were a deliberate acquisition. The wooden box with the bobbins was. This I did see, and absolutely it was coming home with me, because that is cool. I'm not entirely sure what this is. Is there supposed to be a candle in the center? I don't know, but it has blingy little crystals hanging from it. And my husband is the one who decided that it was going to come home with us. I think he's under the impression that our daughter wants it. I don't know if she knows that. And actually the crazy thing is there were two of them. One is missing parts. So apparently we have one for using and one for spare parts, and I have no idea. There was, however, a baggie of extra hanging blingy crystals, which were totally coming home with us, because I will do something with these. I don't know what yet, but I know Pinterest is full of things I can do with these. I didn't realize until I pulled the other glass thing out of the box that this came home with us. This is pretty. I don't remember seeing it there. My husband put it in the box, or possibly the helpful man running the estate sale put it in the box, whichever. I like it. We don't do Thanksgiving dinner or things that require a fancy, gorgeous relish dish like that, but I can totally see this sitting up on the table in my sewing room and holding little doodads in. Apparently we collect old coffee makers. I didn't know this, but it's been becoming obvious over the past couple of years. I found this. It is a 18-cup drippolator, so apparently I can now make enough coffee for either a cattle drive or my 3 teenage boys, one or the other. I like it. It's neat. I would be tempted to take the lid off and put flowers that won't hurt the coffee maker in the coffee maker, because we don't destroy the pretty vintage. But I think my husband has plans to use it, and from the date and some Googling, we think it's pre-1956, which I would be a little more dazzled by if I didn't have so much really old stuff in my kitchen. And we also got a Farberware stainless steel fully automatic coffee maker. This thing was still in the box with the tape on it. The coffee pot itself was still wrapped in its tissue from the factory. It still has its sticker. I mean, it's cute. The coffee makers aren't mine. I admire them. One of these days I need to learn to make coffee, but okay. And I think that is it for that sale. We got a toaster oven, which is awesome because I have polymer clay that I have not been using because I didn't have a dedicated toaster oven, and now I have one. We got a bunch of kitchen gadgets for our daughter, including a Cuisinart, which my husband wants because he's always wanted a Cuisinart apparently, except there's been an identical one in our kitchen cabinet for 24 years that I picked up at my own grandparents' estate sale, and like 2 weeks ago I almost threw it away because we have never once plugged it in the 24 years, and I was really sure we didn't need it. So hopefully I can find all its parts and pieces, and then everyone who wants a Cuisinart can have one. At the tail end of the sale, under a table, I spotted a knitting bag. And a bag inside that with a corner and needlepoint. All I saw was the corner of a leaf, and it went into a box because save the stitches. And so for the rest of the drive home, I was thinking about what it might be and what it might look like. And I got this vision in my head of if one of the corners was unfinished, I would make this unfinished needlepoint into a project bag. And I really fell in love with that idea, to the point where when I got it home, and unfolded it and saw that it is complete, I was a little disappointed. The only thing that the stitcher who came before me did not do, now I can't find it, some of the leaves are missing their veins. And the yarn is here, so I think that I really need to fill in those veins because it would be silly not to. It's still going to be a project bag because I love it. Wouldn't that be a great knitting bag if I find the right fabric to go with it? Don't know what the pattern kit company is because they trimmed it away. One more of those little estate sale mysteries. So then the next week we go to another sale, and it had lots of tools, lots of stuff, 4 or 5 outbuildings full of 3 generations of accumulation, the whole, you know, the routine. One of the first things I found in the garage was Summer's Breeze by Paula Vaughn, and I didn't even look at this, guys. I just saw Paula Vaughn and went, okay, this person who came before me shares my taste, and I love that, and I'm optimistic. And I started digging, and I found this Dover Audubon Birds transfer book. I have seen in antique shops the bird embroidery quilts, and I love them, and I could make one now if I wanted to. Don't know when, don't know how. Well, I do know how to make a quilt and embroider, but I can if I want to, so that book is in my stash. And then I found the thing that may be my estate sale find of the year. A couple of months ago, I did a video showing my great-grandma's crochet dolls. And one of my fantastic viewers left me a comment with a link to the pattern book that my grandma had used. If she had not done that, I would have flipped right past this without knowing what it was, because all the pages are separate. This is the one on top. This is not one of the dolls that Grandma made. But because I had seen that link online, I knew this cover, and I didn't scream in a stranger's garage. I'm kind of proud of myself for that. These are the dolls my grandma made. I am so tickled, and I took pictures in the car and sent it to my mom, and she is so tickled. And the only problem with this is when I saw it online, I was pouting a bit because Grandma didn't make the Gibson girl. Now I kind of have to learn to crochet and make a Gibson girl, don't I, to complete the collection. And I've always wanted to learn to crochet, so this is not an unreasonable thing to feel I should do. For the moment, I'm going to tuck this away in the box with the dolls so that it will be safe with them where they are safe. I'm giddy. A lot of things make me giddy, but this made me extra special, super giddy. And then there were a lot, like 2 whole boxes of crafting magazines, and I flipped through them quickly. I was looking for more Paula Vaughn. I don't know what I was looking for. There wasn't a purpose to it. And I picked up this copy of Threadneedle Street. I was going to flip through it to see if I wanted it, but my husband called me across the garage to look at something else, and it got bought without my looking inside it, but I am so glad because look at this quilt pattern. I didn't know this was a thing. It's pre-Civil War, so apparently this is a traditional pattern that I just haven't come across before, and oh my gosh, I am making this quilt. Love 2-color quilts. They are lots of bang for your buck because solid fabrics are inexpensive and they look great when they're done, and yay. Next estate sale didn't have anything fun. I didn't even take any pictures of that one. But I still have the idea of that needlepoint bag in my head. So the third estate sale had a whole room of old sewing stuff. And I think I have some video I can stick in here maybe. The lighting at estate sales is never great for filming, and I just tried to get an idea of what was in this room while I was in there alone. Why I picked up that needlepoint bird and then set it right back down, I didn't even see it and register in my brain that that was needlepoint, and I'm honestly really baffled by that. This was an entire small bedroom full
of sewing and needlework stuff. It was, for the most part, the same stuff that you see in the sewing room or in the sewing stuff at any estate sale. There wasn't a whole lot that stood out. And I was looking quickly because I had already spent so much time in the garage with no clue that there was going to be even more in the house, because they tend to keep these things together at sales like this one. Scissors, old knitting needles, zippers, just all the old vintage notions that you always see. And prices weren't bad at this sale, but things also weren't dirt cheap enough that I needed to add any more wooden hoops or anything else from this room to my life. Those are the old nylon vintage needles that I love so much, but they were really short lengths for hats, I guess, or sleeves. So otherwise, I would have brought them home, but in this case, I didn't need them. We won't discuss whether or not I actually need any of the sewing stuff that I find at estate sales and fall in love with, because why be bothered with little details like that?
I could have spent an hour in there, except I was with my husband, and if it had been really good sewing stuff, I totally would have spent an hour in there and he would have put up with it. But it was zippers and buttons and patterns and the stuff that everybody has at their estate sale. Except on a shelf, I saw this, and I rekindled my idea of a partially stitched needlepoint project bag. And I unfolded it, and I saw that really not enough is stitched to make that plan work. But it was coming, and it didn't have a price, but it was coming home with me because a couple of years back, I went to an estate sale that the walls were covered in needlepoint like this, and castles. And I swear this was a castle when I picked it up and brought it home with me, and that it is transformed while I was waiting to film this video. It is not the image I thought I saw when I first unfolded it. I would have brought it home anyway. So I was going to bring home this barely stitched piece of needlepoint and figure something out. Then this was sitting on the shelf next to it with no needlepoint in it. So I assume this went with that. They happily sold it to me that way. It has no directions. It has no pattern key, but it is threads. And these threads seem likely to match this project. And I don't know. How much trouble can I get myself into with this? I can't ruin it. The odds that somebody else was going to come along, buy it, bring it home, and finish it perfectly, well, that totally could happen, but I'm not going to feel bad about attempting. And the bag that it came in, I don't know where this is from. Lots of the craft books out in the garage were, we think, maybe German, but we don't know, and I'm not good at recognizing languages unless they're like English or Spanish or easy and obvious, which this was not to me. I'm sure to lots of you it would be. So this is my other happy estate sale find. I didn't keep a tally of what we spent. It wasn't much. What did my husband buy? Oh, he bought an old corn grinder thing that was, it's here somewhere. It looks like those old meat grinders that are on the shelf at every antique mall, so I'm not going to pick it up and bring it over here. It's exciting, just I'm excited for him that he's excited, and it's cool. It'll look good in the kitchen. I'm just not. It's not needlepoint. Thank you so much for watching. I am Michelle from Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I'll be back with you with more videos soon.